Let us pray. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our hope. Amen. It's Camp Sunday. That's why I'm dressed like this. I know you're thinking, why would anyone in their right mind wear shorts today? I wore pants to get here. I changed into the shorts. Anyway, it's Camp Sunday in the United Church, in any case. It's also Good Shepherd Sunday. Last Wednesday was Earth Day. The end of this coming week is the Chinook Winds Regional Meeting. So that's a little bit like, it's like 3 weddings and a funeral. The point is, there's lots of stuff happening today, so you might not have thought about this too closely, but it is in fact Camp Sunday. So let's just be clear. It's not Camping Sunday. It's Camp Sunday. It's the Sunday that we celebrate and honor and support all of the United Church camps. Well, any camps really, I suppose, but particularly the United Church camps like Bar Harbor out by Bashaw on the other side of Buffalo Lake, and Kasota East Camp, which is that way from here. And they're really amazing and awesome camps, and you should find out more about them. And you can. They have websites and all sorts of stuff on Facebook, great pictures on Facebook. We're going to have a test afterwards to see if you can guess which of the pictures came from which camp, because they're both. Who's been to camp? Really? Is that all? Oh, how the rest of you have suffered. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Robin, you hate camping. Have you ever been to camp? I have indeed been to camp. And camping are not the same thing. Now, to be fair, I was once at a camp that had, instead of little huts and stuff, they had these sort of like, it was wood sort of halfway up and then canvas tent on the top. You ever seen those things? And that was pretty close to camping. But camping and camp are not the same thing. I suppose they can be, but they aren't. Camp is a particular thing, right? You go to a particular place with a particular group of people, and you might be there for a few days or a week or however long, and it's supervised. There are supervisors, counselors, whatever you want to call them, people who facilitate what's going on, right? And there's usually a leader, and it's very much in its own way. It's very much like what happens here, isn't it? This is kind of a micro version, in a way. I mean, you're probably not having as much fun as you would at camp. But you might today, because we're going to have a lunch afterwards and some games and things if you're here. If you've joined us online, you're going to have your own lunch and play your own games. But the idea of camp is really a powerful thing, because you get a bunch of kids together, or adults, who've not been together before, and they get to meet new people. And they get to meet people in an environment that is supportive and encouraging and safe. Isn't that what we're about? Some camps don't have a whole lot of people at them. Sometimes are at them, and some are huge. Some are very rustic. They likely all have cabins. Has anyone ever been to a camp where you actually had to sleep in a tent? If you have, I apologize. I'm very sorry. I famously don't like camping. I don't. But I like the idea of camp. You got you got somewhere to sleep that's safe and protected. You might have to share washroom and bathroom facilities, sure, but then you eat together, you do games together, you might learn some things together. And one of the great things about Bar Harbor and Kasota East camps, and a lot of United Church camps, is that they're not necessarily very technologically advanced. In fact, quite a lot of them ask you to leave your phone at home if you have one. And some of them even go to great lengths to make sure you can't use your phone, like if you've ever been out to Bar Harbor, the cell service is horrendous. The idea is for you to build relationships with people, isn't it? In a safe and encouraging and supportive environment. Like in the story today. Camps are kind of a sheepfold, aren't they? Where people are cared for and encouraged and supported, and they come in and then they go out having had that experience. And sure, every now and then somebody has the experience where they miss being at home and they get homesick and they don't want to stay, sure. Sometimes those people come back the next year and they have more fun because they've had the experience of being away. But it's an opportunity to be away from the world in a place where you are safe and encouraged and supported to learn more about you and how to be you and essentially how to be a good person in the world. Doesn't that sound like what we do? Let me say that differently. Doesn't that sound like what we should be doing? And I think that's why in the story Jesus begins with the sheepfold. He doesn't begin with, I am the good shepherd. He begins with what he's essentially been saying all along in the Gospel of John, I am the way. And this is that same experience, isn't it? And isn't camp that same kind of experience where you come into the sheepfold, you have this experience, and then you go out into the world and you share that experience. Sometimes quite intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, because you've learned some things that you then share with others. And you don't necessarily say, hey, I learned this at camp. You simply do it. And again, kind of what we're supposed to be doing in church, isn't it? Where we learn how to be Jesus in the world, and then we go out in the world and we be Jesus. Here's the tricky thing about the gate, though. When we talk about things like gatekeepers, we tend to think of those positions as security. They're keeping the bad people out. And there is certainly a point at which I think Jesus is saying the sheepfold is safe because I'm doing that for you. But how do you think Jesus is discovering that? Is he simply making an assumption and judging people and saying, yeah, you're not getting in? Or is he engaging in them in some way to find out and perhaps maybe even, I don't know, try and help them to understand that they would be welcome? Because isn't everyone welcome in a church and affirmed for just who they are? Isn't that what churches are about? We'll take anybody? Not everybody. And even if you say that and believe that you are living that, it's hard to do that, isn't it? Because you have to be careful sometimes. You do. You have to be careful to ensure that you are creating an environment that is safe for sure. You also have to be sure that you're creating an environment that is open and welcoming to people, that is not judging them before they come in the door, that is not saying, you have to be one of us. You have to do this and you have to be like that. You have to be the right fit for us. I think Jesus thinks of that the other way around. I think Jesus' idea was, let's encourage and welcome everybody without judgment so that we can engage them and find out. And then we can help them if they need that. We can support them if they need that. We can welcome their gifts if they'd like to offer that, because that's what creates community. It's not just a question of you all think and believe and look and sound and talk the same, so that's why we get together. It's that we welcome the diversity of each and every one of us in order that we might grow. And that's the thing about this idea of the sheepfold and being the gate, is that the gate isn't just to keep the wrong people out. The gate is to find out if you are the gate. It's to get to know people and to share with them what the sheepfold is about and encourage them to want to be part of it in a way that both affirms them and the sheepfold. That's what creates community. So often, we don't start there, do we? In this particular passage, and it goes on into the next bit of this passage, is Jesus saying, I am the good shepherd. So if you're somebody who hears my voice and wants to follow, that's great. If you're not, get out. That's not how it works, is it? Not with Jesus. It may work that way with some churches, some communities, some organizations even. However you want to describe that grouping, whatever the fold is, you need to meet some criteria before we'll let you in. And that's not how it works with Jesus. I think Jesus wants to welcome first. And not just welcome, but get to know and understand and say, you know what? You are who you are as a unique individual. If I can help you be more of you, being true to you, being true to the spirit that is in you, what can I do for you? If you would like to offer what gift you have or gifts you have, I am open to hearing that. I think that's why that story begins this way, this little bit. And think about who he's talking to. He's not talking to you and me. He's not even talking to his followers who might well be just standing over there listening in. He's talking to the leaders in the temple. Pointedly talking to the leaders in the temple. Is the temple a place that's like a sheepfold? Or is it a place set apart just for the right people? And who decides that? Well, if we're being Jesus, and it's not just whoever's standing at the front, we can always all be shepherds as well as sheep. In fact, the more you learn from being a sheep, the more likely it is that you're able to be a shepherd. To help others find their way into a place of safety and encouragement and care and love. That's the kind of, not just church communities, it's the kind of communities we ought to be creating. Imagine how different things would be if that's how we started. We didn't start with, as long as you hear what I have to say and you do what I have to say and you're just like me, we're good. What if we started with, tell me who you are. Let me get to know you. What do you need? How can I help you? What do you have to offer that might help me? How different would things be? It's not perfect, and I'm not suggesting for a minute that it could be. There will always be a wolf here or there. There might even be, I don't know, a pig who wants to get into the sheepfold. But so what? It's not about them, it's about us. That's why Jesus frames it that way. I am the good shepherd. I am the gatekeeper. I am the fold. We are all together. We are all welcome and affirmed by Jesus. Jesus is for everyone. Remember where this story is, right? It's in the Gospel of John. And what is John always doing? Right? He has Jesus always saying things like, I am this. I am the bread of life. I am the true vine. I'm the good shepherd. I'm the gatekeeper. I am the way. I think John is way less interested in the historical figure Jesus and way more interested in what Jesus is, what Jesus is about. And so when he says those things, obviously he's not literally a loaf of bread or literally a gatekeeper or a gate or a vine. He's describing what he is. What he keeps trying to show us is in all of us too. How will we find that out? How will we get to know that in each other if we don't learn it? And there's only one way to do that, isn't there? We need to get to know each other and find out who we are. Find out what we need. Find out what we have to offer. Find out what we think. Find out what we know. And encourage and affirm those things that are Jesus, which is love and grace and compassion. That's Jesus. That's what all of these I am statements are about. Not just this physical person in the story, but however you might find Jesus in anyone, past or present or future. Keep looking and be open to meeting Jesus.